Some very interesting things are happening south of the United States. I'm not talking about just the border because not only is the border closed, but there's a lot of military action going on in that entire Caribbean, Gulf of America area, and not a lot of people are talking about it. So I want to talk about some of the implications, maybe some juicy conspiracy type stuff, as well as what it may mean and cover some of the latest updates. So let's get into it. Now, this is a snippet coming from NBC News, and it's surprising because before you get the ick and you say, oh, this is, liberal, crazy, Trump hating news, it's interesting because they're actually reporting the truth. And you'll see here what I mean. And it's only a minute here long, but let's take a look and see what this reporter's update is on the border.
Trump says he secured the border.
Nobody's coming into our country now. We have the border totally stopped.
We're here in Texas to see what those changes look like on the ground.
We've got the most controlled border we've ever had in the history and in my lifetime in the Border Patrol, and we're going to continue getting there.
In Eagle Pass, Texas, during the Biden administration, more than 2,000 migrants crossed into the U.S. in a single day. But now, under President Trump's policies, officers encounter just 20 migrants a day here. So the last time I was in Eagle Pass was 2 years ago, almost to the date. And I saw more migrants crossing at a single point in one day than I had in, at that point, 9 years of covering immigration. They were cutting through this barbed wire here and coming across the Rio Grande, sometimes with parents holding their children on their backs as they cross the water. We saw a lot of rescues. We saw people bleeding as they came under this barbed wire right here. And then we saw hundreds gather under a bridge. They were taken in, processed, and then released either to ICE or elsewhere to pursue their asylum claims. Now it's a total change.
People aren't taking that risk to come across because the end of catch and release is a deterrent in itself. And then with the level of prosecutions we're doing for smugglers and for those entering the country illegally, you add that added deterrence.
We've been out here half the day now, haven't seen a soul. We patrolled the river, haven't seen anyone there either. What we're seeing and what we're hearing from the Border Patrol chief and the agents on the ground here is that anyone who crosses now is arrested, prosecuted, and turned back over into Mexico. You simply cannot cross through here anymore and claim asylum, no matter what your claim is.
Now, mind you, this is a liberal, Trump-hating, news outlet, and they've always been bashing Trump for a long time. But they were forced to report the truth because on the ground, grassroots type of reporting, this is what's actually going on. And I actually applaud them. Kudos to them because they are reporting the truth. And this is what a lot of people are seeing for the first time in the sense of, oh, wow, promises made, promises kept. And what's crazier is that a lot of the comment section, you can tell who some of the listeners are. But if you look at some of these comments, they're actually supporting and saying the truth. Many even joking, saying, quote, "This is the most honest reporting I've ever seen from NBC. Shocking. Thank you, President Trump. What I voted for. So give credit where credit is due." And others joking, "Honest reporting. I'm impressed." And much more sarcastic comments like these. "Proud of you, NBC. Real journalism looks so good on you." So again, the point here being that a lot of the shift, the tide is turning and it's showing Trump and what the administration is doing. And the media is forced to change their tone and their tune on the perspective of what objective truth is without putting, in some sense, the bias across it. Now, this is what you see at face value. But again, this is what is being done on the defensive front. And what I want to bring to your attention today is a lot of what's happening, in some sense, secretly, but also offensively. Because Trump and the military, these guys, are being more open, overt, and even giving video evidence on some of the attacks that are going on, bombing with missiles, these boats, these drug boats, and all of that stuff. But watch what Fox News reported recently. Now, this is coming from a summary that MJ Truth Ultra did, but let's watch the quick clip and then just talk about it.
Fox News alert: B-52 bombers are flying off the coast of Venezuela. Trump's not bluffing. Right now, more than 10,000 U.S. soldiers are built up in the Caribbean, on ships in Puerto Rico, locked and loaded. Special operations helicopters were just seen flying 90 miles from Venezuela's coast. The chopper units used by Delta Force, Navy SEALs, and the Green Berets. The Black Ops were spotted off the coast of Trinidad. They're very important for search and rescue missions. Also spotted little birds. They're smaller but faster, designed for quick insertion of special operators behind enemy lines. The Ghost was also confirmed to be in the Caribbean. That's the nickname for MV Ocean Trader. It's the kind of ship that doesn't want to be found. It's designed for black ops and special missions because it's dark and blends in with cargo. There's more. 10% of the U.S. naval power is now in the region, It's a major shift. There's subs, several destroyers, and F-35 fighters in Puerto Rico. That's on top of all the coke boats getting smoked to pieces by the week. Kilos of cocaine are washing ashore. Don't tell Hunter. Dozens of bad hombres becoming shark bait. It's got Maduro's attention. He's the dictator of the narco state, a very bad hombre, and we just doubled the bounty on his head. It's now 50 mil. According to the New York Times, Maduro offered us a dominant stake in Venezuela's oil, gold, and mineral wealth and promised to cut ties with Russia and China. And Trump and Rubio said no. That tells me the gunboat diplomacy is going to end up with no Maduro and a Venezuela aligned with us, not Putin or Xi. American action in Latin America hasn't always ended well. Look at the Bay of Pigs. Other times, it's a piece of cake. It's our backyard. And Trump's just reestablishing the Monroe Doctrine, a.k.a. the Donroe Doctrine. Hopefully, a Venezuelan general does the right thing and collects the $50 million bounty. No one wants a messy conflict in South America. Maduro controls drug traffickers who are pretty strapped. They have military-grade weapons. And Biden let hundreds of thousands of Venezuelans into the country. They could be activated. But if Trump can pull this off and kick China and Russia out of Venezuela, after what he did with the Iranians, it'll give him a lot of power to deter Russia and Ukraine and China and Taiwan.
Now, this went over a lot of people's heads, but what's mobilizing right now with the military might of just this whole Latin America region, the Caribbean, is monumental because they are in a wartime posture. Remember, this is not some like small little operation. They are literally taking down the deep state. They are allowing the frontline people, the drug traffickers, the human traffickers, all that stuff, the foot soldiers, the guys that are the puppets in some sense, if you want to bring Maduro and all these guys into it from the deep state, stronghold. They are going on war posture right now, and it's not being talked about enough because, yes, it can be guised as, the drugs and the human trafficking, all that stuff, and that sounds good, and it's true to a degree, yes, because there's Americans dying of fentanyl and all these crazy things, but something else, again, is happening, which is the dismantling of the deep state and this entire mess of trying to have the isms, all of the, people all of the people fighting against each other, population reduction, all that stuff, whatever it is. And the fact that Venezuela, they're offering all these things, wealth, gold, oils, and mineral wealth, all that stuff, it's crazy. And they're bringing in Russia and China. So let's take a look and see what Trump recently said in an interview as he was talking with President Zelensky of Ukraine, but as they were being grilled by the press. And these are snippets from what he talked about in this interview or this press conference, but he's reiterating, we attacked a submarine. That was a drug-carrying submarine built specifically for the transportation of massive amounts of drugs, just so you understand this is not an innocent group of people. And he even name-dropped some people. Bush started a war. A lot of them start wars, but they don't solve the wars. I've saved tens of millions of lives. This is pretty much the last one. And I think we're going to have success with this war. And again, he keeps bringing up the Democrats and some of the people that have been infiltrating or have infiltrated the government. They're mentally damaged. They want to take $1.5 trillion and give it to people that invaded our country. They want them to have healthcare and take it away from our citizens. He's not going to allow that to happen. And watch what he says when he's asked a specific question on some of these things.
Have you authorized CIA operations in Venezuela as part of?
Well, I wouldn't say that, but some interesting things are happening around the world, I'll say that.
Mr. President, it has been reported that Maduro offered everything in his country, all the natural resources. He even recorded a message to you in English recently, offering mediation. What should we do in order to stop that?
He has offered everything. He's offered everything. You're right. You know why? Because he doesn't want to fuck around with the United States. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
I had to clean up some of what he said, but he dropped the F-bomb, and it was a very stern message to the deep state. Yes, it's to Maduro, but again, what he's implying is that the White Hats are in control. But he also said something very interesting when asked about the CIA and all these other things, which is that there are a lot of things that are interesting happening around the world. And a lot of the war, as Trump has said, is being done secretly. And he's not going to project and talk about what their mission is overtly to the public. Yes, he's going to do it for optics purposes. But again, whatever this war is, it's being won. And Trump, the White Hats, the military, they're doing this intentionally. And so a lot of people are talking about the Red October and done in 30 days and all this stuff. But with the government shutdown, all these things, it's very interesting what's happening right now. Let me know your comments, your thoughts on what you think is happening south of the border, across the Caribbean, and just this whole thing near to our borders. Because again, it's not only a domestic thing, but it's part of the deep state takedown, the grassroots, the foot soldiers, all that stuff, but also to cut ties, to snip things at its core, its root, and just tackle things head on. So let me know what you guys think. You guys also know I'm doing a fundraiser, trying to meet our goal. Would love it if I can get you guys' support. All the information is down in the description below, givesendgo.com/chrisyoonyt. Love you guys. Talk to you guys very soon.